Hi everyone, Miss Schlarman, and here we are going to learn to make a coil basket. Look how pretty it is. It's so cute. All right, so how do we do this? Well, first we need to get our supplies. We're going to use some piping, and this is what basically you can see, it coils around. We're going to use yarn to weave it to basically trap and tie it all together. And of course, in order to get it nice and tight, we're going to be using some tools. Now, this is a yarn needle, and you can use one of these if you have it. However, most people don't, so I'm going to use a modified paper clip. Now, modified paper clip, I actually like to work with more than using a yarn needle. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up that paper clip, okay? Just open it up so that it's just a needle. That's all you need, because we're not actually sewing cloth here. We're just doing that. Now, what I'm going to do is I have that one little hook there. If you don't have a hook, what you can do is you can use a fork and you trap it in there, and then it can bend, okay? You can bend it by using pressure and using a toil. So there I have just my hook that I created. So all it is a wire with a little hook. That's my modified needle. Okay, so then I have scissors, and then of course my yarn. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna choose these colors. You can use all the same color. It doesn't really matter, but I'm going to start with 3 arm lengths. So here's the end, and here's my arm. So basically I'll come in, and this is my shoulder, do you see it? And I go to here's 1, and then I'm gonna do it again, and 2, and I'm gonna measure it all the way to my shoulder, there's my shoulder, and 3. You really don't want your yarn too long, and you don't want it too short. So let's get started. So you have your angled end of your piping, and you have your 3 arm length ribbon. You are going to go opposite of the piping with the string, and it's about as long as your thumb. So you see that about right there. You're going to put that over there. So you're going to trap it in. So this is all about trapping the yarn and wrapping it around the piping. So I'm going to come up here holding that there, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go backwards and wrap, wrap, wrap. And notice I'm going away from me, and I'm holding in that other piece of yarn, trapping it in there. And you want it fairly tight, but you don't want to like kill yourself trying to do it. So wrap, wrap, keep wrapping. And the start is a little trickier, but once you get started, it's going to be super easy. Now, when you get down far enough, we're going to bend this over. Okay, so you're going to bend it over to where now I'm going to wrap both. I'm going to wrap that, and I'm going to tack that little part down, trapping in both sections plus that first string. So I keep wrapping, wrapping as I'm going over it. Oh, my hands are getting a little tight. You do have to secure it. The beginning part is a little bit harder, and that's why you have to just take your time, get it started, and then we'll start flowing through. So now I've got it about the same amount. So I've got that little loop with it trapped in there, and then I'm going to bend it around, because that's what we're going to be doing. We're just going to be going in a circle, right, to create that. You can see in the bottom there what it looks like. Notice how it looks kind of like an E at this point. So you pull it, and see it just looks like a lowercase e. You see that? That's where I'm going to start my spiraling. Okay, so I've got it wrapped around. Now, how do I secure it? Well, that's where my modified needle is going to come into play. So I hold that secure, and I pick up my paper clip, right? That's modified with the hook, and I'm going to put that in the middle where that hole started. And then I'm going to pull this through. Okay, that's gonna work as your needle. And the first one might be a little tricky to get because it's so tight. You want it to be tight. Now, it's going through there. I'm just gonna pull that string on through. pull it through. And remember, you can always pause the video while you look at it and try to fix it. Now this one's going through. Now some people just take it and they just start wrapping up this way. To make it even more secure, bring it in between. See, in between those two, and that's going to create it to be a little bit tighter. So keep that in between and hold it tight, and then you're going to wrap away from yourself. I still have that little tail to trap in there too, so sometimes it can get a little bit confusing, but just take your time, be patient. You know, my favorite character word is perseverance. So you're going to take that and just keep persevering. Now, some people like to wrap and count as they go, and 10 or 15 is a good wrap, or you can just kind of eyeball it. So there it is, wrapped a little bit. I'm going to bend it to create that coil. Oops, I got to get this guy in between, right? So keep that in between right there, and it's going to go back to the middle again. So I've got my modified paper clip here. And I'm going to make sure I get that, put the yarn in the hook, right? And then just pull them on through, just like so. Then, instead of wrapping it up here, bring it into the middle, bring it into the middle, okay? And you might have to adjust it to kind of help get it in the right spot, pull it as tight as possible. And this beginning part is when it wants to like separate from you a little bit, but that's okay. So then you go away from you, and then you can count either like 10 or 15 wraps or eyeball it, your choice. And then when you get to about there, pull it in the middle between the two, and it's gonna go back to the middle. And this is about a lot of repetition and pattern. We're just doing the same thing over and over. Now, here's my one. Don't go up here. I want you to come in between, and that really secures it and makes your coil tighter and more secure. So once it's like that, then take it around and wrap, wrap, keep wrapping. And now, the shape of your basket is going to depend on how tight you wrap it and how you secure it. So once again, I forgot to tuck it in there, right? It has to go in between those two things. And I'm gonna go ahead and it's gonna go in the middle again one more time, and then it's gonna go to the next one. So here I have it, pull it through, bring it up in between the two, like so. Make sure it's as secure as possible. Okay, so it looks like that. And then wrap away from it again, and wrap. And you want to try to make sure that you don't have gaps in between your yarn to where the white is going to show through. And then notice now that's the center. I'm now going to the next coil. So I'm going to wrap it. I'm going to wrap one more time there. And then it's in between the two of them. Make sure my coil's not being exposed. Okay. And then I'm going to go through this one, not the center. I'm just going to go to the coil that it's next to. Use my little hook, bring it through. Then bring this back in through here. Okay, like so. And then start my wrap again. And it's gonna get easier. Once you get it started, then it's gonna be pretty simple. Okay, notice how now I'm getting to where I need another section. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to put that in the middle. And I'm going to go through them with my needle. And I'm gonna hook it. And pull it through. Bring it up to the middle there to wrap it around. Basically all we're doing is we're wrapping and we're trapping it in. Okay, now how do I get a new piece together? So I'm gonna set that down, and then I'm gonna think about my color choices. Okay, so I've got these three colors. I'm gonna go ahead and pull out 3 arm lengths of the green. So once again, I go in, see my shoulder is to 1 and 2 and 3. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut that so I have my length. You don't want it too long. You're not going to save time by making it longer. You're just going to get it all knots. Okay, so then I am going to place this string, like the beginning, going away from where I'm wrapping. And I'm going to hold these two together, right? And then I'm going to basically trap it on top of themselves. And I'm going to keep just that wrap away from you, away from you, away from you. And like I said, you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 wraps or 15 wraps. And then bring it in here. And the wrap is, hold it together. Get your modified needle and pull it through. So it's right next to that next one. And then you're going to take it, tuck it on in between those two guys, okay? And then you just start again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 10, 11, 12. I think I'm doing about 12. I'm kind of eyeballing it there. So if you really want it consistent. Now, notice anything where my string is? My string is here, but it really needs to be in between there, right? And then I'm going to get my needle and grab the hook. Sorry about the alarm there. Okay, then we're gonna go through, up. Sometimes it gets caught by another one, so you kind of gotta have to go make sure that let's see where it is that it's getting hung up on something. So just be patient. If it gets hung up, take your time and go like so. Then bring it up and bring it wrapped around that one coil, okay, in between the two. And then you're going to wrap around that one. Wrap, wrap, wrap. And then you're going to position it. Now, your basket can either be flat, right? Or it can go curved up. So the bottom, this is really flat. This is kind of just the base of it. And then I want to start going up with it. So as you do this, you just keep wrapping, 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 wrapping. Okay? And then it goes into the middle. Close it. Get your little hook right there, because it just hooks onto the next one. That's all it is it's hooking onto that coil before it and pulling through. Okay, then I got it tight, and then I'm going to come over here, put that in between, and then position it. And I'm going to wrap. Now if I want to start going up, so I kind of want a gentle basket. This is a pretty simple, it's a little flat at the beginning, and then it just starts going up and out. You can make them all kinds of crazy, but just nice and consistent and even. Okay, so once I got it, put it in between, right? Now, if I bend it up a little bit, so I just move that coil up a little bit, it's going to slowly curve it. And that's what I'm going to do. So right there, I've got my coil slightly bent up. Just like so. And then tuck this back in, right? Oh, I went the wrong way. You guys should have said, Miss Schlarman, you have to go in between them. There you go. And then away from you, and just keep going and going. And then when I get to my next one, I'm going to position my coil. So here's my coil, bring it in, and then notice here, you can see a little bit of that next coil to it. See how I'm curving it up? So it's all in where you position it, whether you keep it flat, curve it in, put it on top of it, and so forth. Okay, this guy got a little stuck. I hooked onto another piece, so I'll just gently pull it through with my fingers. And I'm also, pull it back in between, right? And I'm almost ready for another piece of yarn. So you've already seen me attach a yarn. If you need to watch that again, reverse back to that section, because right now I'm going to speed this up so we can move a little bit faster. right, so I'm back here a little bit because I want to talk to you about this a little bit. You have to position and shape your bowl. So you take that wrap in between, right? Now, if I lay it flat, my bowl is going to go out. If I pull it in, my bowl is going to go in. You want to kind of position it. I'm kind of having just a gentle bowl out. This one is a little more vertical where I made it more stacked up on itself. And this one I want it to be more like flowing out. So what you want to do is make sure when you come in to secure it, and you take your modified little tool here and you pull it in and you're going to pull it out. Oop. So if I pull it really tight, it's going to go in, right? A little bit more. I want it to be slightly out there. So I hold it where I want it to be. And then remember, you go in between the two, okay? In between, secure where I want the same level, like where I want it to be. And then I'm just going to keep going to the wrap again. Okay, so it's just kind of going and just keep that pattern going. All right, let's go fast. All right, so I slowed it down because I wanted to show you something. This might occasionally happen to you. It's stuck. What happened was I accidentally hooked one of the strings from the other thing. And if I just keep pulling, I mean, I'm gonna rip the yarn. So just gently bring it back out, kind of thing, fix it where it was. And what it was is I caught that yarn right next to it. So I'm gonna go the other direction and then boom, it went right through. Okay, so you don't have to worry about if you do run into a little snag, just slow down, backtrack a little bit, readjust, and then do it again. Remember that you're controlling the shape. You can see that this basket compared to this basket is already starting to look quite a bit different. You can see more from the roof. So this one is more like a straight up and down, and this one I'm angling it out a little further. So remember, the shape of your basket is dependent on where you position the coils. So think about that as you are going through. All right, I'm gonna speed it up and just keep on chugging. So here we are at the end of our cycle. How do we finish this off? Well, you're going to do the same thing, but then we're going to wrap it over. So continue to do your wraps as far as you can. And what we're going to do is we're going to trap it in there. So remember, you're going away, and this is getting skinny. Now, this is angled. It's cut as an angle once again, but if yours is not cut at an angle, you want to do that as well. All right, so I'm gonna just try to wrap it as much as I can there. And then I'm gonna tuck it in one more time for security. So I take my modified paper clip here and I'm gonna hook it and pull it. Okay, I think I have got a little too much brown on that one. Then of course I'm gonna come in through here. I'm gonna start wrapping some more. Now this is where it's gonna get, we're gonna go and we're gonna basically sew it down on top of that other one. So I'm going to come in through here, use my modified paper clip. Mine's a little bent. I'm going to straighten it up just a little bit to make it a little easier. All right, so then I'm going to go in here, and now we're going to basically sew it shut, okay? So wrap, notice how I'm going over both now. And I'm going to stick it in there, and I'm going to sew it. So I'm no longer, I'm just going to take it in, throw it through, okay? I'm going to try to get all the way down and cover up all of that white piping that we have. Uh-oh, so I'm getting stuck on that one guy, so I got to kind of reposition. I'm going to come down. It's going to have to go, see this tan one right here? That's making it a little difficult. So I want to make sure that when I pull it through, I don't accidentally get that stuck. So it's going to come on over here, and I'm just going to keep pulling it, wrapping it, go back over it. And this is because basically we want to trap all of that in without showing, we don't want any holes seeing it. We want it to stay secure. So I'm just kind of stitching it through. Kind of had a lot of string I'm working with. Probably didn't need to cut that much when I knew I was close, but it's still workable. It's better to have a little bit too much than not enough to try to finish it off. Got snagged there just a little bit. So you can keep seeing it from this direction, what it looks like. See that little white there? I want to make sure that I'm covering that up. So when I wrap it around, position your yarn to where it's going to do the best spot for it, okay? And then there's a little white there. So I'm gonna wrap that around. And all I'm doing is keeping it in place so that it's gonna be all secure. I still see, oh, there's a big white spot. So I wanna make sure I position my yarn right on top of that wrap so that I don't get that showing. I don't want the white to show. And so I'm just gonna come on here to make sure. And then I might go back the other way too, so that it's just double check that it's as secure as possible, because you don't want it to unbind. You don't want it to come back on itself or show any of the white right there. Okay, I'm just gonna keep going. And then after you've got that, we're going to stitch it through it. So I'm just gonna bind it one more time. I just like to make sure it's secure. Okay. And let's see. So I'm gonna push those together so it looks solid. Just like that. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna tuck this through the basket. You could do it on the outside or on the inside. So here's I'm gonna have this. This is gonna work more like a needle now. So I'm gonna just basically, I'm gonna take this string, poke it through. Okay, oop. Gotta grab it, don't I? Let me grab it. Okay, got it in the hook, like the needle. I'm gonna pull it on through. Oh, this might be, hold on. It might be a little bit difficult. Let's see here, because it's tighter. You gotta be careful. And this might be when you wanna squeeze that down so it's more like a needle. And you can, some people like to leave it like always squeezed in there and attached. That's whatever works best for you. Okay, let's try to go through here again. See if it won't get stuck up on them. So I'm not tying anything, am I? No, I'm just letting it weave on itself. So it's just trapping itself into the basket. Sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties there. So I'm gonna pull it through. Come on. Sometimes you gotta talk to it encouragingly. Oh, there we go. Oh, yay! Okay, so now it's wrapped in on itself. Make sure it's nice and tight. You can, if you feel like it needs more coverage, go back and restitch. But I think this is pretty secure. It looks like it blended it nicely, ended it. So then it's tucked in there. All I gotta do now is just trim it up and smooth it out. And voila! Look at that! My coil pot is finished. My coil basket. It's so pretty. I love it. So remember, where you position and how tight you hold the coil as you do it will determine whether or not your bowl goes out or if your basket goes more vertical. So this one, same material, just one is going out more and one is more vertical. All right, I can't wait to see your creations. Bye.